because this is a new norm, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this has become we're living in a particularly historic time. And any time there is some type of depression or some type of influenza or whatever, a plague, it's going to always bring out the scammers and the pathologies of man, right? I would think the best defense in this case is awareness.
That was Ronnie Allen, founder of Be Elite Fitness, and he is our special guest in this week's episode. This is episode number 212 of the Life, Strength, and Health podcast. And I'm Kim, and I'm joined with Jamal.
Greetings, everyone.
And
peace and blessings.
Yes, and thank you for joining us this week. In this episode, as I mentioned, we'll be interviewing Ronnie Allen of Be Elite Fitness. And in this episode, we're going to talk about the necessity for self-defense and fitness, especially during these days and times.
Yes, I enjoyed this episode because we got a chance to speak about health from a different perspective. And it was more from a self-defense perspective because if we look at health holistically, your awareness is a part of health, right? Because the more in tune you are with your body, with the more in tune you are with your thoughts, your surroundings, your situation, the climate, the more in tune you are with those things, the better your health is, the better your health from a life perspective is. And we got a chance to get into those things. And to be honest with you, when we started the conversation, that wasn't even the direction that I wanted to go. So it was very organic in the direction that it took about being like mindful in the climate that we're in. And I thought it was important to talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. And before we dive into the episode, Ronnie has offered some free gifts to all of our listeners. So make sure to stick, around to the end. We're going to make an announcement of what that special gift is. And we're also listed on the show notes page for this episode, which is lifestrengthandhealth.com/212. I'll list everything that we mentioned in this episode and that special gift that Ronnie is going to be sharing with all of you. So before we dive into the interview, I just want to read a little bit about Ronnie. Ronnie Allen is the founder of Be Elite Fitness. He is an enthusiastic physical fitness professional from Brooklyn, New York. In addition to more than 10 years of personal fitness regimen training, Allen boasts an impressive 24-year martial arts background. Ronnie is currently a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu under Dan Covel. He trained in tough T.U.F Level 1 under Heru Neket. Ronnie also performed as a stunt extra in the Batman film The Dark Knight Rises. He is an avid boxing and MMA fan and is a lover of sports in general. And for his full bio, just go to the show notes page at lifestrengthandhealth.com/212. So without further ado, let's dive into the interview.
And we're going to try to do these webinars more often, at least once a week. I'm going to try to get someone on the show or have a discussion on some area that can help you, right? We already know the basics. We already know the washing the hands and, take the vitamin C and all of that good stuff. Like we know that already. So hopefully you're doing those things. But there are other challenges that we're having that we need to capitalize on, right? So that's why I want to get into this particular topic today with our special guest, Ronnie Allen. I'm going to bring him on. Ronnie, are you there? We'll give Ronnie a second to unmute and jump on.
Peace. I'm here.
Good. Hang on for a second. Let me dismiss these questions here. So thanks for joining us, Ronnie.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I wanted to get you on, man. I know that, we talk about fitness all the time, and I think it's good to bring other experts on to share their expertise. Been taking a few of your classes that I'm loving. So wanted to be able to share that with our clients, with our audience, and just talk about fitness, because a lot of things are changing in the industry, and I think it's a good time to talk about it. So, Ronnie, if you will, why don't you just kind of tell a little bit about yourself and what made you get into the fitness industry, as well as martial arts. He's a very accomplished martial artist. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I guess I go short story.
Yeah.
Go short story. How I got into martial arts, it was just funny. I basically found a flyer, right? And that flyer was for a karate class out of my high school when I was in Trenton, New Jersey. And I just went there, and, like, my parents was like Aggie. They didn't want me to sign up. So I just got the $20, and that paid for the gi. And then I had a crazy mouth. I guess I was a really slick talking kid. And I had to do 100 push-ups before class started. Every class started. And I guess that helped improve my fitness because then I had to do the workout. Or the push-ups where, I had to do 50 to 100 in the middle of the class while everybody kicked you in the stomach, like old school stuff like that. Because my mouth was real atrocious. But that, I guess that was the Brooklyn in me coming out in a small town. So that's pretty much how karate started. So everything started with karate, Goju-Ryu karate. Very special shout out to Sensei Ismail Dell, James Thornton, Grandmaster James Thornton, and everybody of USA Goju-Ryu. And a very honorable rest in peace to Peter Urban, who brought that over from Japan to America. An Italian brother, I believe. He taught a lot of Black brothers. So big shout out to Peter Urban and that whole squad, Sensei Raphael and everybody from back then, and all the different schools of karate that I had the opportunity to compete against as a younger man. It was just an honor. So that's pretty much how the martial arts started. And then I went on to train to do seminars with Sifu Dan Insanto and Jeet concepts, as he calls it. Seminars and instructional things with Grandmaster Ronald Duncan, who brought Ninjitsu to America way before Stephen Hayes and them. So he's the one who dislocated my arm. Short story. We popped it back in and I kept it training. So rest in peace to him. He passed away a few years ago, but he had the roughest hands I've ever felt. It felt like he peeled skin off of you when he touched you with his hands. 'Cause he was really big in doing this fire technique and rice grabbing technique back then. And so I went on to train with them. I had friends who boxed. And so I was always sparring with them. So they showed me a lot of boxing technique. I had friends who boxed. They had amateur careers of I would say at that time, maybe 30, 40 fights. Especially big shout out to my man, Felix Santiago from East New York, and everybody from Gleason's Gym that used to train him. As he showed me a lot of things, and we've been in situations together, and I'm just glad he was a good friend and brother of mine. So went on to then train with David Kahn, who is the U.S. chief instructor of Israeli Krav Maga, one of the best instructors I've ever been trained under. He really put me in good positions to work with Marines and Navy SEALs and Green Berets, and really train on the military aspect of combat. And I became one of his instructors, I believe, in like 2012 or something like that. So I've been rocking with IKMA for a long time, and also a very special shout out to Igal and Grandmaster Hayim Gidon over in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been with them, been doing that, and just a whole host of other different martial arts from Eskrima. Big shout out to Tony Ortiz for spending like 5 or 6 years training me in that. New York Eskrima, check him out. He's an incredible instructor. To currently doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu under Dan Covel, who's I would just say he's just a dope guy and a gorilla of a martial artist, you know. Shout out to him. So it's an honor to be training directly underneath him. And am I missing anyone? Because I have like a big history. Oh yeah. A few people, but one in particular. Shout out to Heru Neket and everybody in the tactical and beating fighting tough system. It's hard, but it's fair. So I've been having a great time with them, you know, becoming punch proof and things like that. So that's pretty much my martial arts background. I wanted to give lineage to let people know that it's not like I'm just pulling these things out of my hat. I'm actually really trained from like a strong bloodline. And my lineage is solid. And so I just always want to applaud the men that took a liking to me, you know. So I'm really just humbled by that.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question real quick before you get into the other side of fitness, just with your fighting training, right? Right now, you know, we're looking at a real serious crisis, and one of the things that this crisis has exposed, as all crises do, just like many weaknesses within the system, and it just exposes like how crazy it can get and how crazy people can be. Right. Like just from, you know, just doing really weird things like buying up all of the toilet paper, you know, things like that to, you know, we actually received at the office for Plainfield, South Plainfield, we got a call from they do like a recorded call from, I guess, either the mayor's office or the police office or something like that. And we got a call just saying that, like, if, you know, someone comes by saying that, you know, they're from the CDC and they're saying that they're coming in and that they need to test your home for, they need to test your home to see if you have the active virus in your home, you know, or we're giving out free masks. We're going to come in and try these things on, you know, and saying like, don't let these people in. Those aren't agents. Call the police right away. Or they're putting some type of sleep agents in the mask, and when you try them on, you get unconscious and they rob you. So, you know, this crisis is very real, and it's pulling out the worst in a lot of people. Obviously, it's pulling out the best in a lot of people, but in some people, it's actually pulling out the worst, right? So. So beyond fitness, like how important do you think it is, like during these times, to really know some level of fighting, combat training, martial arts, and things like that? Like, how important do you think it is for the average person to have some basic skill in how to defend themselves in crisis situations?
I think dealing with, because this is a new norm. Right. Like this has become you know, we're living in a particularly historic time. And any time there is some type of depression or some type of influenza or whatever, a plague, it's going to always bring out the scammers and I guess the pathologies of man. Right. I would think the best defense in this case is awareness, right? If something doesn't sound right, it probably isn't right. Because when have you heard the CDC what in America gives anything away for free, first off? So that would just be weird in of itself. I think, but if I had to sometimes we have to take a step back. So when you're thinking about defense, it's one thing to have defense against attack, but what we're dealing with here is defense against a particular situation, like a cunning, right? So sometimes I would suggest people got an option to not think, like, I don't sit around and think of myself like, oh, I'm a good, honorable person and I have these disciplines and blah, 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 which is great to have, right? Which we should all strive to be like Renaissance people. But at the end of the day, I always take a step back and see through the eyes of the criminal, right? See through the eyes of somebody in that lower state of being. And then I think, if you think like that, then you can pretty much prepare your home for what is needed, because everybody living situation is different, right? So you might have to realize like, okay, I got to go down these steps and then go through this door and then go through another door just to get into my spot. How much time does that take? Should I keep my keys in my hand? And I'm not talking about like the stuff you see in the movies where, you got a key in every hand. You kind of want to keep your keys in the palm, like you palm your keys so you can slap the person. You know what I mean? Because keeping keys in between your fingers, they're kind of going to like flex in and they're going to cut the rim part of your fingers. Like a lot of people who's never been in a situation, they do that type of thing. Or you take one key and you use it like a knife and you would aim it at, soft points on an individual, right? If that makes sense. Or you take it, if you have a lot of keys, take it, throw it in their face, and then you just try to escape or what have you. So it's just about learning those smaller things, maybe investing in like a tactical pen, something you can carry all the time and you just always, whatever weapon you want to deploy, you always keep it in the same place. And so even at the end of the day, if you don't use it, like I know a lot of people always say, oh, pepper spray or tasers, but that's something that people rarely carry, or something that, like if you think about women, they keep it at the bottom of their purse. So it becomes inoperable anyway, when they could have just been running instead of reaching for it, right? But whereas like a tactical pen, where you can just keep it on your person, your jean pocket, in your jacket, I would say start there. But everything just begins with awareness and having an understanding of your environment, right? And understanding like, do I think like one of those people will come to you, or would they come to your wife first, right? Like if they're watching your business, they probably want to go when your wife is there predominantly. Or I think about like single parents, right? Like, are you gonna, like I have a roommate, ex-boxer, right? And then there's me. Are you going in there with those two maniacs? Are you trying to invade that home, or are you going to go across the hallway to the lady with the 4-year-old and she lives by herself? So I think awareness of kind of what you're dealing, not being lax in any situation, but just having awareness what is more likely to happen is probably the first key of self-defense. But everybody, and I do believe everybody, should train in one of the, I would call it one of the definitive martial arts. Definitive meaning like you have to have force on force, contact with contact to see if it works, right? Don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of all martial arts. So whether if you want to roll around like a monkey or act like a chicken or play drunk or do like Tai Chi, you want to master all the chakras throughout your body when you move, I am fine with that, right? Because all the internal stuff is really cool and all the animal stuff is really beautiful. I'm actually a really big fan of it. But definitive meaning you need something like a boxing, a Muay Thai, some like some Krav Maga tactics for your awareness, and situational things like somebody pull out a knife, a chair, gun, bat, somebody's drowning you. So they deal with stuff like this. You need to tackle a dog, take out a sentry. So that's kind of what that system handles, right? Or you need, like, I would just say, like, if I was a woman, if I had to prescribe things to like anybody, especially to like women, it would be jujitsu and boxing. Because 9 times out of these 10, a man is always trying to grapple her to the ground or take her to the ground or pull or tuck her somewhere. So it will teach her, male or female, though, it teaches you to be completely uncomfortable with somebody sweating and breathing heavy on you, right? And that's normally what causes fear. Like, what brings most people fear to quit is because they haven't put themselves in a bad enough situation, right? So they panic. And then once you panic, your brain is trying to draw on something to keep you going. It's like if you run, say if somebody was stabbed and you patch the stabbing, and you're going to tell them mentally, you're going to be okay. I'm here for you. Just keep breathing. Just right. Instead of telling them the opposite, like if you wanted to kill somebody, you would tell them the opposite. You're going to die. There's nowhere to go. Because now the brain is going like, oh my God, I got to shut down. And where the other way is, the brain will be going like, okay, we got this. This person's here. So I think that's really like the downfall of everyone, just not putting yourself in enough bad situations. So I think, or tense situations where your adrenaline is dumping, right? So I think everybody should box and do like jujitsu. And if you want like some tactical stuff, definitely do something like a Krav Maga. Just add on into it. And then I feel like once you get those basics, even if you just spent, I'm going to be honest with you, if you spent 1 year in jiu-jitsu and somebody has never gone to the ground before, never met a person that knew any groundwork, and they take you to the ground, you're going to maul them to death. You're going to physically maul them to death. I don't care if you're a 115-pound woman and this guy's like 205 pounds. If you really put in the work, you will maul that 205-pound man to death. I'm not saying you're going to get bumps and bruises, but by the time you get done with him, you're going to break his arm or you're going to choke him out and make him pee himself, period.
I think you're bringing... I think you're bringing up a good point that, you know, a lot of people are not trained. So you're just so basically, if I could summarize what you're saying, to have some training, you're already ahead of the game, and you're creating an advantage for yourself to have some levels of balanced training, right?
Absolutely, and just your confidence. Like, people can feel when somebody kind of knows something. Right? Like you can feel it. Or if they have something on them. It's either one or two things. A person is either going to be really confident, right? Because they're just a confident person, or they're confident because they have something to back that confidence, whether money, prestige, or whatever, or they're confident because they can overpower individuals, so they can always tell their truth, right? They never have to lie because they can defend their truth, or they have something on them, an equalizer, to help them defend it, right? And people can always sense that. You can always sense it. Like, you've been around military people, and I'm not talking about, you know, shout out to everybody in the military, even the paper pushers, right? But you've been around military people who really were like in the trenches of it. They have a different aura, like that whole ambiance. You're like, whoa, this guy's different. You know, when you've been around somebody who's like competed in like a particular martial arts at like world-class level, or like boxing at world-class level, something like was really definitive, you can feel it. Like, you just feel it on them. Yeah. And they can be so humble, and you just, like, people kind of know, like, yeah, I got to be cool over it, or this is going to be a very long night for me. I'm not saying people aren't going to be crazy and test you. I'm just saying, like, but a criminal wants an easy path, and they want the person that put their head in the sand. They don't want the person who's like licking their lips, like, okay, let's dance. You know, like, it's a tougher thing. So I think some type of training, like, even if you just were doing seminars, like every 2 months, you just do like a self-defense seminar, a different self-defense. Then that way, you know, you get in some some tactics for your brain to rely on if you are in a bad situation. So you kind of just can't, automate it with your adrenaline. You'll be like 5-10 times stronger, etc. And then it'll go with your physical capabilities, right? Because everything is tapped, technique, accuracy, power, then speed, because technique never dies.
Yeah.
Accuracy never fails. Power and speed will diminish, but you can still be strong and powerful. But your speed is like the first thing to go with every human being. But if you got good technique and you're accurate in your technique, you can beat a lot of people in all ages, at all ages, at all stages of your age, for sure.
Yeah, I want to make a quick comment. Someone posted that as a single mom, I have trained and know how to protect myself. What advice would you give if her child is in danger and she has the possibility of freezing? No matter how much training you have, sometimes the fear counters the adrenaline.
Yeah, that's more individual, right? So I guess if you're dealing with a smaller child, you want to teach them how to, I would just say, interlock their self onto the person's legs and scream, right? Because it's hard for a person to deadlift, even a child, off of their legs. So it's like a particular technique you teach them to cross. Like, if anything, if they're being grabbed, they grab one leg with their arms and they'll wrap their other leg, then they'll wrap the other leg with their legs, like a real tight rope, and they'll try to stiffen out. And it's really hard for the person trying to snatch them to move, because then you're just looking crazy in the street. Right? Because now they have to, because you got to think about, you're in a deadlift position, like a forced squat position. You're trying to lift this child into the van or whatever, and you can't really move, right? Because they got you like a web design. So you can always teach that to a child in that technique. So maybe that's something they can fall back on. Or you got to just teach them to scream, yell, bite, run, and just, break out of it some way, somehow. But I think to stop freezing, I'm not saying that I wouldn't freeze. I just think, like, I've been in enough situations whereas the freeze would be shorter. So if that's the case, then you have to start putting that child in situations where, like, you take that plastic knife and while they're eating, you put it on them and be like, now what would you do? Like, you might deal with a situation where you just have to be a little bit more defined in your approach with that child, because practice is what makes perfect. So you might not be able to depend on their heart, because they might be a good like, we have people who are really just good-hearted and they don't want to be in these situations, right? But as you know, like, violence is no respecter of anyone. Violence is just violence. Harm is harm. So I think if you can judge, you might have to really start defining how you train them. Maybe even just barging in their room and making them run around the block or something, like on a Saturday or Sunday, like getting their heart up and just teaching them to perform under duress a little bit. And I'm not saying you go crazy like every single day, but you might want to do it like once or twice a month just to keep them up, like just sporadically. Those moments, like, because that's how it is. They're not going to face that every day. It's always going to be like that moment. So you can set it up like twice a month and just help them systematically begin to break that that threshold that they have down.
And what I'll add to that, and you tell me what you think, Ronnie. When you recreate real life crisis situations the right way, your mind can't differentiate between real and unreal, so it will treat it like it's real. Like, you will have those real life responses, and that, like, putting yourself in those moments, like when it actually happens, you'll automatically kind of kick into that muscle memory of how you handle these situations, because you've been in them before, as opposed to just like maybe learning to fight but not testing yourself and putting your child in a crisis situations, even though it's a drill, but putting them in these situations where they're going to actually feel the heat, or putting yourself in a situation where you're going to feel the heat. Like, that's how you build that muscle memory and you train the mind to react a certain way when it's in those situations. Would you agree with that?
110% I agree with that. I think like if you haven't sparred, and let's just say you've been training, but you haven't sparred in like a year, 10 years, 20 years, you got to really think, is your martial arts effective?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like because sparring is really, and I'm not saying you got to spar like you're trying to compete, for like a world title, but nah, if you can at least like once or 4 times a month, just get in there, get in a boxing ring, put some gloves on, do like 3 or 4 rounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good solid rounds, and you can just keep it at 50%. I think that's better than just laying back on your laurels, acting like, oh, I'll never get hit because I know these top secret techniques.
Right.
That's crazy talk.
Yeah.
And granted, you might, hey, the ultimate goal, right? If something happens is to look so movie-esque.
Yeah.
And look so dangerous that other people go, oh man, because that's the human ego, right? You'd be like, oh man, da 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 da. But at the end of the day, fighting is probably going to get ugly. You might have to stick your thumb in somebody's eye. You might have to grab somebody by the balls, twist and pull until you hear like a juice noise. Like it's just combat at that point. But to prepare your child, like if you're worried about a home invader, then sometimes you teach them what to do if that was to happen. Maybe like, oh, the bat's going to be over here. Mm-hmm. So they know they got to get to that bat. Or, hey, you have this tactical pen here that I don't care if you're tired, you lay it underneath the pillow you don't use. Whatever you need to teach them. And then sometimes you just drill it. You just barge into the room. You know what I mean? You just see how they respond and then give them a moment to fight off, and like that. If because every parent or every individual has certain fears. So if like you have a fear of your house catching on fire and your child lives on the 3rd floor, maybe as a parent you want one of those folding ladders that you open the window and then the ladder comes down. So if anything, they only have to drop one story, and that one story is just a sprained ankle at worst.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to really, that's what I mean. Like defense is always going to be by the other's awareness of their situation.
Right.
Right. So whatever your fears are, you kind of should drill that. And then drill it, meaning like you teach it well, you teach it well again, you teach it well again, you teach it well again. And then here comes the surprises. And just to see if they got it. And you just do it sporadically. And you can make a game out of it, right? Like you don't got to be all like crazy, not really.
Right. But just preparing them, to get used to that. Just preparing them.
Like do you know, like even down to the fact, like, okay, like your office in Plainsville, do you have a procedure if a crazy shooter walked in there? Maybe we have, because we deal with that now, right? Like how are we responding?
How do we handle ourselves?
Exactly. Like I think about like I work in the fitness industry. Like I'm an independent trainer and I work at a particular gym in Midtown. Shout out to Independent Training Spot, Mark and everybody, by the way. But how would I respond if an active shooter just walked in there and just started dumping? And it's always like 12 people in there at one time. But how are we going to respond to that though?
Right.
So it's always questions in this world, but I do think you have to have a mind for it. Like everything starts in the mind. Like if you're just oblivious to certain things, you kind of setting yourself up, especially in these times where we don't know how long people are going to have unemployment. We don't even know if people are going to have jobs to go back to.
Yeah.
So when there's no money, you see the real bully come out in people. Mm-hmm. So like even just now, like I would just say do simple things now. So if you're still working, take a different route home. Meaning like if you're going into the office, right? Take a different route home. Find out like 2 or 3 different routes to take home. That way you can always know if somebody's following you. Because you never know the hearts of men. So I would say if somebody knows you're a single woman, single man, you live at home, you're still working, you're still making money, they've been watching you, still live your life, and they're not able to do that, it brings out the hyena in folks, I would just call it, though. And so I would just say, just start with that type of thing.
And I just think that, I know that it seems like it could seem like a bit much, but it's always going to be some new crisis. And the more that you're prepared for it, the better. So, it might seem like a lot to introduce these things and to train your children in these ways. But like, these are the times that we're in. Like, this is very real. Crises happen and people do run into places with guns. Like, we hear about it all the time, right? So what makes your space any different than anyone else's, right? So we just need to be prepared. So, I just wanted to take that moment to talk about that a little bit, being that like you're trained in this.
Real quick. And it all started with my pops, right? My pops, Ronnie Allen. We had a password. Like, when I started grade school, he gave me a password. My first day of school, he said, "This is the password. You do not go with anybody who don't have this password." And I looked at him, and he was up to like, "You promised me that." Like, he made me like, like old school, like promise. Look in your eyes, grab your hands. All right, pops, cool. And I just remember, and that kind of like always led me to be aware. Yeah. Right? Like, it was weird, but I didn't really understand, because what are you, like 5 years old? And he's like, "Yo, if a person don't know the password," he was on that even when I was in high school. Yeah. Like, he'll be like, "Yo, I ain't send nobody for you if they don't know the password." And he'll drill the password. Like, we'll be driving in a car, right? And he'll be like, boom. So I guess it started from that. And then, like my uncle being a paratrooper in Vietnam. But I'm going to give a good shout out to my pops. I just thought about that when we was talking. Yeah. Like, that just made me reminisce real quick.
We had I remember growing up, we had a password as well that we had to use. So yeah, I think there's a lot of power in that. And these are some good tips, especially with people with children. And someone had a question and comment. They just said, "Do you think that your training aided you in making judgment calls that help with like things that we're dealing with in this crisis as well as just other crises?"
It's just made me calm, right? From always being under pressure. It's just made me calm. I don't think it has changed any and everything. I just know what I can do and how I can do it. So I just prepared on a different level, right? Like, I always tell people, if you don't have a bug out bag, you need a travel bug out bag. Something that you always would have, like a Swiss Army knife, a little, like a lighter, or, a flashlight, Swiss Army knife, a mask, some type of mask, kind of like what we're wearing around now. Some type of health bar, maybe 2 of them, in a small bottle of Fiji water, like a 500, like that type of thing. And you can just put that in a fanny pack and carry it. So if you're on the train and the train breaks down or there's a blackout, for a fact you got this water, and then you can add like BCAA to that bottle. You know what I mean? So you can just swap it out as you need it. But those are like, you want to think always to go, especially like living in New York City. I always think about, man, I can be in anything. So you always keep those like small things. Like, I would just say Swiss Army, flashlight, mask, a little CPR mask that you can get from like Red Cross Blue Shield if you did a CPR class, just in case you got to resuscitate somebody. They're light, easy to carry. And maybe just like some Band-Aids, some gauze, like just a small Medicaid type of thing that you can just keep in a fanny pack. And you should pretty much travel with that, even if it's just in your car, right? Even if it's just, and that's easy stuff. That's like 7-8 items, and it's not even going to weigh more than like 3 pounds. So I would just suggest that. So that's how that helped.
And to add on to that, so one of the things you said was like being more calm. And I just want to say that even though he's applying this to, defense, that applies to anything. Like the more prepared you are, the calmer you're going to be, right? Like there are some people that they have, months of food stored, right? So when this whole crisis went down and grocery stores had no food at all, like they were very calm and relaxed when it came to food because they were totally prepared for that. Like the last crisis that we had, when we had that hurricane, in New York, New Jersey, that hit us pretty bad, and there was a gas shortage. Like people that had a full tank of gas going into the situation, like they were very calm. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter what the situation is. Like the more prepared you are, the calmer and more relaxed you're going to be, and the less prepared you are, the more stressed you're going to be. So I think the biggest takeaway of this segment is, being prepared, like having some fighting under your belt, just being as prepared as possible. And that is going to help you survive under these situations and help you to not be as stressed as other people are. So, moving into the next segment, just like actually getting into to fitness for a bit. I know that you have a fitness business and that you've been running for about 10 years now. How do you think that this world crisis has affected the fitness industry? Because one of the first things that they shut down were the gyms. Like that was like first on the list. The gyms went down first, like before everything else, and I know that was, especially the people that actually worked out. I know that was, a tough blow. I know it was hard for me because it wasn't so much the actual, like equipment, because, you could work out outside of home, but it was just certain things like, we were starting to heavily get into racquetball, so now the racquetball courts is down. We was taking the yoga class there. I was doing the sauna in the steam room and things like that. So that whole piece of what I was using for stress management and fitness was taken away. So I know it was tough, and I know it was tough for a lot of people. How do you think it impacted the industry? What were some of the things that you were seeing when this whole thing first went down?
Oh, the industry has been crushed.
Yeah.
You go from making like $150 an hour to $200 an hour. Mm-hmm. Now you're doing virtual training for like $40, $50 an hour, or session or whatever. That's a big drop.
Yeah.
That's huge. I think brick and mortar gyms are pretty much done. Like I was reading how Gold's Gym has officially filed for bankruptcy. So
wow.
I can see Retro Fitness that happening too. I can see that Planet Fitness that happening too.
Yeah.
I can see a couple of places just going down. I can see like Jiu-Jitsu schools being shut down and boxing gyms being shut down. And because it's not like the government said, hey, due to the fact you can't run this business, your landlord can't put you out, right? So since that's not the case, I think a lot of brick and mortar gyms, are definitely going down. I just feel kind of sad because I never got to go to Gold's Gym out in the West Coast where Arnold and Lou Ferrigno used to go. Like, the Pump and Iron DVD. Like I'm still like, yo, like I'm kind of heartbroken by that because I always wanted to lift those dirty, sweaty bars that they did in Pump and Iron. I've been out there, but I never went to the Gold's Gym, so I may not be able to go, right? So I was just kind of like, damn, just like as a fitness enthusiast, a fitness lover, like somebody who would go to my brother Dan's house and I would just sit on his floor and read mad fitness books all the time. Like that was one of the spots. Like I wanted to etch that in. Like, I went to Gold's Gym with Arnold Schwarzenegger and them what. So I think others. Like and others, a lot of them, like, all the greats, all the bodybuilding greats, male or female, was in that one. Yeah, so it's like sad almost because now is the fitness industry is like it's like blowing up. It's like going up in smoke a lot of the ways. But then the trainers who really have like their certifications, like myself and many others, right, that were really like skilled, it might not have had like 20,000 Instagram followers, right, and stuff like that. But now you can see the so-called Instagram trainer,
right,
how like bad they are, how not official they are now, because they have nothing to hide it under now, because now all the trainers like myself that really know how to program, really have the background, right, might not have the social media magnetism. Now you have to compete against us. And I look at their videos and I'm going like this, oh man, y'all toast, y'all suffering. They're going to become public speakers or something next, right? Like, because that's over now. Like, the veil is off. So on one end, it's sad that a lot of great brick and mortar old school places, it might not mean anything to your listeners or viewers, but us in the industry, it means a lot to us to like step foot in those places, right? Pay homage to those places that inspired us. But on the back end, it has offered such a great opportunity for dope trainers to really spread out across the world virtually.
Yeah, right, absolutely.
And become more innovative now, like to take all this knowledge now, be super innovative, you know. And that's why, like, I'm really fortunate to be a part of the VFL League, Virtual Fitness League, right? Like, right now we're just at 8 dope trainers. Everybody on our team, everybody on the VFL team has no less than 6 years of experience at what they do, right? So it ain't no newbies, no newcomers. Like, everybody's really legit, and just to have that ability, because the goal of every trainer, we always want to take on the big gyms, you know, your Equinoxes, your Crunches, or whatever. You know, your Reebok Sport, your LA Sport, your LA Fitnesses,
and this
always want to
this levels the excuse me, this levels the playing field a bit.
Oh,
right
this
now
is completely
with this.
Changed.
Yeah. I do want to say that, you know, like the gyms that you were talking about, like these big gyms, like if these big gyms are closing down, you could imagine the smaller gyms that aren't going to make it as well.
Oh, so, the mom and pop gym might be finished.
Yeah.
It might
so
be done. It might be done.
This leveling of the playing field is very real. And what I'm seeing, and I want you to share, like, I'm seeing almost a shift in the people, in the consciousness of the people. There's this meme. There's a couple memes going around that I see where it was like, you know, life before the quarantine, show people at home sitting around lazy playing video games. Life during the quarantine, people out running, training, you know, doing things like that. That's one of the reasons why they had to close the parks down in Jersey, because they were packed, like people out there working out, training in the park, walking, running, you know what I mean? The social distance wasn't there. So, you know, whatever the motivation is, right? Whether it's, I need to have a strong immune system, I need to, you know, be fit, I need to get out because I'm bored, whatever the case is, it seems like there has been a shift in the consciousness of people actually like looking for the things that you're offering and the professionals are offering. Like, are you seeing that?
Oh, absolutely. Because you got to realize, though, I see it twofold. People had to wake up in the morning, right? Because you couldn't put your nice suit on, right? You couldn't put your nice dress on that hid your body. You had to wake up, look at yourself in those pajamas and go like, damn, I really let myself go. Right? Like, because you couldn't hide your truth in your busy. A lot of times, all of us, I guess, at some point, we always say we're busy. But now you're not that busy. So what else do you have to do? And then I think, too, just the media hysteria about, hey, this virus really kills unhealthy people. Really messes with unhealthy people. So now you're getting it twofold. Like, you're like, man, I'm not looking good for my spouse, a girlfriend, or boyfriend, and if I don't get this together, whatever this is, it's taking me off this plane of existence. So I think it was like a good 1-2 punch reality. And I think we're not going to go back to people being too sedative after this. So that's another thing too. I think the human genome, which is meant, it's like, I don't get a reward for not being mediocre, right? Like, it's not like back in the day where like you would find a great wife if you could speak like 2 languages and you knew about astronomy or something like that. You were just a well-rounded person. That probably died in like the 1700s, right? Because meaning like when money took over, like the industrial age. Yeah. So during the industrial age, none of that began to matter. Like, it wouldn't matter now if I was like, I speak like 3 languages. I can tell you about the sun, moon, and stars and how gold is made. A woman would be looking at you like, what? Do you drive a Benz or nah? Right? Like, so it's a different playing field. And but now I think with this virus, the playing field is going to, like, people have to be more conscious now of what they're taking into their body, just for basic survival, because the human genome, even though most human beings want to live a C+ life, because we always have to realize mediocrity rule more than being advanced, right? Or trying to advance. I bet now you'll probably see a more elevated form. Like, you're probably going to see like people going to become more vegans, more raw vegan, more vegetarian. A lot of people want to give up a lot of sugar. I just think like a lot of industries are going to flux after this. Especially if there's a virus that's forcing you to be healthy. I think like the flux of things are definitely going to change, and that puts us in a good position, especially, like with the virtual fitness league, to address a lot of different things. Yeah. So with the team that we have, the team that I'm a part of, I'm really proud to be a part of this team. Like, say we have Cody Stout, he has the boxing. We have Sunny, she has like the Kundalini yoga and the yin and yang deep stretch flow type yoga class, right? We have Bethel with the HIIT training. We have Amina with like the soca course. So she's bringing like certain cultural, like now you got like people in Korea listening to soca music, working out and getting their core together. That's like world class, brand new. Yeah. You have Kojo with the strength and conditioning and the agility drilling. You have Moses with the bodybuilder, like, like he's super ripped, like he'll just take you to a whole nother level. You have Kayeti with the comedic yoga. So a whole world of people get to actually find out what comedic yoga is, and like kind of like where the ancient yogis stem from, how it shifts from like East North Africa into India. Like, they get to get the whole wave of history at one point with the good postural positions and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, so that's a blessing in and of itself. So now you get to teach people without beating them over the head with history. Right. But now they get to take something and add it in, and then they can kind of forge it like, oh, did this come from this? And they get to mix and blend it. So I think that's just a good humanized cultural way of doing things. And then you have like myself doing like fighting strength training, which is like really dope conditioning course, with strength and conditioning, with agility, adding in the martial arts, adding in the Krav Maga and the Jiu-Jitsu, and then the mantra meditation that I'm doing on Friday, which works the different chakras. So we started with root, and so I'll lead up to all the way to your crown. Every week we're going to work with a different chakra, just to keep people balanced, keep people mentally safe and sharp and emotionally intelligent, right? And then like today we had shadow boxing and stretching, where we're going to teach you techniques. We're going to teach you to think how number means something, right? And then it'll be tough like 20 minutes, but then like the last 10, 15 minutes, we're just stretching and feeling good and just preparing for the day. So I think we're really hitting people with a lot of different options. And we have a kickboxing class coming. We have a few dancer classes coming. from
Mm-hmm.
African dance to Latin dance. So it's going to, being part of the virtual fitness league, an individual really going to have like world-class trainers with no less than like 6 years of experience. I'm going on like 13 years of doing this.
Yeah.
13, 14 years. So it's just so world-class. Like, you're going to be able to do everything at one shot with like somebody that's really, really legit, and somebody that's actually worked in some of the biggest, the bigger gyms,
Right.
like your Equinox. Like a lot of us were at Equinox. A lot of us was at those really high end La Palestra type gyms. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just really cool to be a part of such a dope team of people.
Yeah, I think that's great. And a lot of people, they may have, from time to time, maybe watched a video, but like watching a video online or on TV is not the same as working with a professional online. It's a completely different type of experience, and I think it's definitely something worth checking out. I got a chance to take a couple of Ronnie's classes. Actually, all three of his classes I got a chance to take. And I like the way you roll it out, man. Like, because Mondays it was, we had the weights involved. That kind of beat you up a little bit more. Then Wednesday, we took a break from the pounding and getting into the shadow and the stamina, and then getting into some mobility, and then taking it all the way down on Friday with the breathing and the meditation. I thought that was a very well-rounded, holistic approach to fitness, and I think that it was something that my clients and the listeners, I think, is something that you'll all benefit from, to be able to do that. And as we talk about the fight training, like you put some of that in there, the punches and the kicks, and just getting used to moving that way and getting it in the muscle memory, I think is very important. And I know, Ronnie, for our audience, that you had some offers for them to be able to experience and take your training, right?
Oh, absolutely. You can definitely email vfleague20@gmail.com. That's V as in virtual, F as in fitness, league20@gmail.com. VFL League20@gmail.com. We'll send you over our class schedule. We'll also send you over our description of the classes. And this week, it's still going on. All classes are free for this week. You just send over what class you want to take, and we'll set you up with those links for those times, and you just punch in, pass them on to a friend, family member, and have a good time. After this week, though, we are going into charging. So all my classes are going to be $7. So all classes ranges between $7 to $10. And we'll have more information at the end of the week on the complete price list of everything. But as of right now, that's what's just happening.
So real quick, just looking at the calendar for those who are listening to the recording at a later date, for those who are joining on a podcast, right now we're looking at May 6th. So the rest of this week, the 6th through the 10th, the classes are free, and the classes will extend through next week as well, right?
No. After this week, what day is Friday?
Friday is the 8th.
Yeah, so starting the 8th.
That's when it starts to be paid.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
we started the following week.
Gotcha.
So already, yeah. So let me just be clear. So starting the 8th.
Gotcha.
When you email over for the class, say if you want to take like the mantra meditation or the Kundalini yoga or the upper body hit performance class that Cody does, or the Kundalini yoga with Sunny, or myself, the mantra class, you would just email over and just ask for the Venmo or Cash App or whatever, and we'll just send that over to you and just give you the access code to the class starting this Friday.
Gotcha.
But so tomorrow, all classes are what are we in Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
So Thursday, all classes are free. So just
Gotcha.
email over if you want to try anything Thursday. You try everything Thursday. Try all three, right? Because classes are ranging between only 30 to 45 minutes. So it's all good.
Right.
So you can mix and match it, right? So I would just say email over vflleague20@gmail.com. And also follow on Instagram, vfleague20. We'll start posting pictures soon and more stuff on that, but it's definitely good to have followers there. Or just hit me up on Instagram, Netaru Rush, NTRURESH, and any other of the trainers. It's just really good. But just start with that email there to get access. I think that's the best starting point. And then we'll just email over our class schedule. And our class schedule will grow. Right now we're doing like 21 classes a week. Something that just started has 21 classes. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's great.
21 dynamic classes, right? Dynamic classes. So basically that's like 84 classes a month. And after this month, we plan on taking it to like, I would say about 26 to 28 classes a week.
Okay.
So we'll be working out a package, like an all access package for that. An all access package and a particular, like, say if you only want to train with like a particular trainer's class. I don't know why you would not want to try different modalities to better yourself, but if that's the case, we'll be working with that too. So all that's coming, and we'll probably have all that ready to launch out probably like most likely Friday or Saturday for the people.
Yeah. So earlier, someone was talking about just the lack of accountability to motivate them. So I do see this as an opportunity to have that accountability and to have someone that's going to motivate you. I really enjoy all three of the classes, and I do think that $7 is a steal for that. So I appreciate you extending that offer out to our audience, and I hope that you take advantage of it. And before I let you go, one of the things that I like to ask the I guess that come on, just kind of in a very simplified way, like, if there was only like one exercise that everyone could do on a daily basis to especially during these times where you're quarantined or you have this social distancing and you have to stay in, you have to lay low. If there was one exercise that people can do on a regular basis to maintain some level of fitness or build some type of baseline, what would that be for you?
I have to pick just one. That's rough.
Yeah, just one. Just one.
That's rough.
Yeah.
All right. I'll just do 30 burpees a day.
30 a day.
30 a day.
Gotcha. Yeah.
30 burpees a day. Since you're getting chest, core, like the back of your arms, your hamstrings when you gotta, jump up and decelerate from that jump. So you're getting a lot of good stuff. Mm-hmm. So about 15 to 30 burpees a day. If I had to choose one move that's going to like get the body moving, sweating, heart racing. So I would just say that then, if I have to choose one.
Gotcha.
And it's easy and you can do it anywhere.
Yes. Gotcha. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Let me see if there's any more questions here. Nope. We answered all of the questions. So for everyone, we will be sending out the replay with all of Ronnie's information. We'll also post the flyer as well, so you can take a look at the classes and see which ones you want to try out for free. for the rest of the week. Thanks for, chatting with us, staying with us. And we're going to continue to try to provide you with some support during this crisis. So on that note, everyone have a good night. Stay healthy. I appreciate you, Ronnie. Hang on for a second. Someone just said something here. Someone said, can they have the IG for the instructors?
Yeah, let me just bring that up really quick. Really quick. Sorry about that. It's hard to think of everything when you're in mid-conversation, right? You're like, hey. So we have my IG is NTRU Resh, RESH. Then we have, I guess you can type this in, right? Can I just type it in or something? Then
yeah. Tell me.
I guess we have at naturally, so at NTATURALLY YB_. That's Bethel. You have Motivation by Moses. So at Motivation by Moses. You have at Sunny Ray Yoga, SUNIRAY Yoga, or one word. You have Violet Fire. So at Violet Fire, that's Kayeti. You have Ko-Nose, that's Kojo, so KO.Nose, kind of like Bo-Nose, but Ko-Nose.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's all. That's a dope name. I enjoy his name. Then you have Cold Red 1989. So Cold Red 1989. And then we have one more. We can't forget Amina. She's awesome, right? Amina's awesome. So you have at Ultimate Fitness, the number 4, Life. One word, Ultimate Fitness for Life. And that's pretty much the team right now.
Gotcha. I definitely appreciate that. Thanks for coming on. And definitely, as we progress throughout the year, we see how things unfold. It would be good to have you on to talk about some very specific fitness things or, other, protective things. Because there's so much to talk about, man. Just like seniors.
The name is Ko-Nose, KO.
KO.
KNOW.
KNOW.
Yeah, like Ko-Nose.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. And
CO.KNO.
Yeah.
WS. Gotcha.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
No, KO dot though. So it's Ko.
Okay, yo. KO.
Then it's no.
Nose. Okay.
And then and my name is just missing a U in it, so it's Rush. But other than that though, thank you so much for posting the names though. I appreciate thank you for that question.
Yeah.
Definitely everybody follow them for sure. Follow me, follow us, follow the virtual VF League 20 page also. So that's cool.
All right, cool, man. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you having me. Have a good night. Everybody.
No problem.
Thank you.
Peace, everyone.
So that is the conclusion of our episode with Ronnie Allen of Be Elite Fitness. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode, but most importantly, you received value from it. And as you heard in this episode, Ronnie and some of his colleagues are launching their virtual fitness league. And at the time of this recording, they have already started the classes. They had the intro week and they've moved on to their regular class rate. But Ronnie wanted to offer our listeners a special gift. And before I share that, Jamal and myself, we have taken some of the classes. We've taken classes with Ronnie, and there was the yoga class with Kayeti. And we really, really enjoyed the class. It's convenient, and it's really just a great workout, and it's from really knowledgeable experts in the field.
Yeah, I really enjoy Ronnie's class, and the thing that I enjoy about it is that it's short and sweet, which I think is perfect for our demographic, our clients. I think it's great because we don't have a lot of time. You know, we got, our children, we got our businesses, our careers, and everything else. You want to be able to get in a workout that's efficient, that you get to the point. His training routine is around 30 minutes. That includes the warm up, the cool down. It's intense, but it's good. And he modifies it. He modifies it if you're more of a beginner, and if you're more advanced, he can scale it up. So I think it's great. And just like we were talking about the importance of moving during these times, during any time is important, but during these times, it's very important that you move and you don't allow yourself to become stagnant, to become stiff, right? That lowers your immunity, increases your stress. So I think now is definitely the time to take your physical health to another level.
Definitely. So the special gift that Ronnie wanted to share is he's going to offer his first 3 classes that he offered, the recording for free, so that you can, try it out, see if it's for you. We feel confident that you will like it. And if you need to implement some physical fitness, what a great way to begin. You're home already. There's something that you can do in the confines of your home. So it just lessens and lowers any obstacles that can get in your way. So to access the free trainings, for our members of our private health community, this is uploaded in the member portal, and you can access that at lifestrengthandhealth.com/membership, and you log in and you can access the classes for free. For those of you who are not members of our private health community, you can access these trainings as well. Just go to lifestrengthandhealth.com/virtual fitness. There you can opt in, and we will email you those 3 classes that are available for a limited time. And, definitely take the classes. And if it's for you, then you can continue. You sign up and you can continue on. So that is the free gift that Ronnie wanted to offer to our listeners. And we thank you, Ronnie, for doing that.
Yes, we appreciate you, Ronnie. You're looking out.
And as I mentioned, the show notes page for this episode is lifestrengthandhealth.com/212. And you can access all the information there as well. So once again, thank you for listening. Stay tuned for the next episode. And until next time, live healthier.
Stay healthy, everyone. Peace and blessings.